Namaste children. I am here again with the second part of our second chapter in history, Socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. In my previous class, I discussed briefly about the background of Russian Revolution and about the social changes that took place in Europe during that period. Briefly, we discussed about the liberals, radicals and conservatives and how the coming of industries and industrial revolution brought a new society in Europe, which led to the coming of socialism in Europe. The socialism means a society where all are equal in work and respect. Today, we will discuss about the Russian Revolution, which took place in the year 1917. The Russian Revolution took place in the year 1917, where the socialists took over the government through the October Revolution. The fall of monarchy in February 1917 was normally considered as the Russian Revolution. The Russian Empire includes present-day territories like Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, parts of Poland, Ukraine, and Belarus. You will see this in the next map, the political location of those areas on map. The fall of the monarchy in February 1917 and the events of October are normally called the Russian Revolution. The majority of religion was Russian Orthodox Christian, which had grown out of the Greek Orthodox Church, but the empire also included Catholics, Protestants, Muslims, and Buddhists. So we cannot say that the Russian populations were only Catholics, Christian, or they were the Orthodox group. No, apart from that, other groups of people were also there. If we see the economy of Russia before or during the Russian Revolution, then we will find that nearly 85% of Russian were agriculture at the beginning of 20th century. This proportion was higher than in most European countries. For example, in France and Germany, the proportion was between 40% and 50%. In the empire, cultivators produced for the market as well as for their own need, and Russia was a major exporter of grain. By the time, gradually, some kind industries were set up, and in prominent industrial areas started developing, like at St. Petersburg and Moscow. Craftsmen undertook much of the production, but large factories existed alongside craft workshops. Many factories were set up in the 1890s when railways started their network and foreign investment in industrial increased. Coal production doubled and iron and steel output became 4 times more. By the 1900s, in some areas, factory workers and craftsmen were almost equal in number. Most industries were in the hand of the private person. Government supervised large factories to ensure minimum wages and limited hours of workers, but factory inspectors could not prevent laws being broken. In craft unit and small workshop, the working day was something 15 hours and compared with 10 or 12 hours in factories. Accommodation varied from room to dormitories. Workers were a divided social group on the basis of skill. Metal workers were skilled workers, so they considered themselves as aristocrat. A metal workers of St. Petersburg recall, metal workers considered themselves aristocrat among other workers. Their occupations demanded more training and skill. Despite this division, workers did unite to strike works. Whenever there is a requirement of strike, they join hands together, though there were differences among them. It was found that the Russian peasants or the farmers were different from the other European farmers. In number one, they wanted the land of nobles to be given to them. And secondly, they pooled their land together periodically and their commune divided it according to the need of individual families. That means they used to mix up their land and according to the need of the family. Suppose at the initial stage a person had 4 members, now it has expanded to 8 members. So during that pooling, that family will get little bit more land than before. So that was totally unique in Russia. Before the Russian Revolution, all political parties were considered as illegal. The Russian Socialist Democratic Party was formed in 1898 by socialists who believe on Marx ideologies. That means the Marxist concept. Due to government policies, it had to be operate as an illegal organization. It started a newspaper, mobilized workers and organized strikes. Some Russian socialists believed that the Russian custom of dividing land periodically made them natural socialists. That means, as in the previous slide, I explained that the second peculiar character of Russian peasant, they pooled their land together periodically and their commune divided the land according to the need of the peasant's family. That means from the beginning itself they had that kind of understanding that with the expansion of family, the amount of land that they had, it may increase or decrease depending on the number of families. So that kind of understanding was there among the Russian farmers. So depending on looking at that, many thought that rather than giving more force for the revolution, for the Russian Revolution on the workers, they can give on the farmers, as 85% people of Russia were farmers or peasants. The socialists were very much active in the countryside throughout the late 19th century. They formed the Socialist Revolutionary Party in 1900 under the guidance of Vladimir Lenin. This party struggled for peasants' rights and demanded that land belongs to nobles be transferred to peasants. Social Democrats disagreed with socialist revolutionaries about peasants. Lenin felt the peasants were not one united group. Some were poor and others rich. Some worked as laborers while others were capitalists who employed workers. So he found that these differences within the concept of peasant, these kind of differences or small group of peasant cannot unite the peasants together. So he said that they could not be called a part of socialist revolution or the movement. On the basis of their ideologies, this party was further divided into 2 parts. One, under Vladimir Lenin, the Bolshevik group, who were known as the majority group, and the other one, the Mensheviks, they were known as minority, who had less number of people were there, and more minorities were found in Germany. So children, today we have come to the end of today's part of our class. So today we discussed about the background of Russia, socio-economic background of Russia before the Russian Revolution, and how socialism came to Russia and it expanded in Russia. Hope to meet you again with my next class with third part of this chapter. Here you will get some of the question answers, and I hope you will do and you will submit it to me on time with proper handwriting, with specific gap between questions and answers. Thank you.